Greetings, everyone. I have a very special treat for you guys. I'm here with Gene from the channel Astral Doorway.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm extremely excited for this conversation. Um, I think this could be like one of the most important conversations ever uploaded to YouTube. Let's just start with something powerful because what we're going to talk about is so important and it's also underground, and there's also so much misguided thoughts about sexuality. And the reason this video is happening is because uh, Gene uploaded a brilliant video on his YouTube channel 2 weeks ago about white tantra, sacred sex, Karezza, and I thought it was I absolutely loved the video. I commented, I hope this video gets 10 million views, and I'd say that was me being mild. I wish it would get a billion views, like. But it's like I'm passionate about sacred sex. I think it has the power to transform and help so many people, and it's an honor to for you to join me on my channel to talk about this topic, Gene.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. And in one of your videos, I put a description or links to one of your videos in the video I did because I saw you were just one of few people also talking about it and just raving about it and speaking positively about it. And not a lot of people are doing that. So
It's
yeah,
almost mysterious how underground it is. Yeah.
right, yeah.
But as we were talking about, yeah, right before, there is kind of a reason for it. But yeah, for everyone watching, I'm going to put a link to Gene's video in the description and make sure to check it out afterwards. It's brilliant. It's like a must watch, and it's also great because lots of people have trouble communicating this or explaining this to someone they're dating, or and because it is a tricky underground topic, and I think your video is a great topic. Like, you could send it to someone you're dating, and it's a great way to kind of introduce the topic, create conversations. So I think it's an incredible
Right.
resource.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, that's
extremely well
what
done.
I intended it. Yeah, I intended it to be something that, you can send to anyone, any couple, and introduce the idea. And then, from there, it's people's choice as to whether they practice it or read the books or resources and really look into it if they're really interested. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I guess just to start off, for people who are maybe unfamiliar about white tantra or Karezza, do you want to give just kind of like a quick summary of what the practice is, and then then we can kind of jump into a more deeper conversation or a more nuanced conversation.
Right. Yeah. Well, the basis of the practice is really a sort of very opposite approach to sex and relationship and union with a couple than contemporary ways to approach sex, which is the contemporary way is usually we meet a partner, um, things build up, that's good, and then eventually there is a goal orientated aspect to that, and we want to like consume the person. It's like we meet them, we want to you know like eat them up and then just throw them away in an energetic sense. So really with white tantra or alchemy, we're really wanting to honor that person, honor the love we have, and honor everything that is felt and cultivated, and look after it and look after the relationship without being so mind mindless or careless. And we're looking to nurture each other and really only focus on love. So at a more physical level, a very easy way, not easy way, but a sort of easier way to explain that is, the fundamental practice is sex without orgasm, sex without climax, without discharging the electricity that is cultivated and just, then it's just gone. When we first hear about this, yes, it's like, the whole world will say, what's the point in having sex if there's no orgasms, right? But we have to go into it, we have to study it, we have to practice it, and really get in touch with the energy of it, and what are really the causes and the consequences of kind of throwing away the energy or reaching this climax. What effects does it cause in the relationship, and what happens if we don't reach that, and all, it goes into so many things about what is the spirit then in which you do have sex, right? Because if you go into sex and we just like go crazy, sort of like an animal, and just very hyperactive, and it's just passion, and then you just stop, I mean, you're not going to feel very satisfied then, are you? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's the basis of it, really. Sex without orgasm, but it's way more deeper than that, of course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Really beautiful, really beautifully said. One reason I really love that video you made is because you explained this so eloquently and brilliantly. Because it's a hard topic to talk about it in lots of ways,
It
and
is.
especially
It really
yeah.
is.
And you're very good at articulating it. And you could tell you're speaking from experience. And I love that term, sexual alchemy. That's a great way to put it too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, union of two beings, and
Yeah,
without not any aspect of disunion. What's the opposite of union? I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, disharmony.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and
Yeah, disharmony.
the stereotype of in the movies where the guy has right after the guy comes in sex, he like rolls over and it's it's the electricity is discharged. And in
Right, yeah, he's just
yeah, and then White
yeah.
Tantra, Sexual Alchemy, Karezza, the energy, the it just yeah, it's like a balloon. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. You never pop the balloon, and just being with
Right.
each other, just the caresses and the gentle touches are extremely pleasurable. People who think orgasm is everything, they're like desensitized to the actual pleasure of just being present with your partner and yeah, connecting from this loving place, not this animal lustful place.
Right, yeah. And so one of the things I said was, it's not just about sex, it's probably also about the day after. You still have energy, you still
Yeah,
have this eroticism, which is, comes from eros, and the energy of Cupid. So it's not just
yeah,
sexual, like animal lust and passion. It's something quite pure if we don't taint it and we learn to treat it respectfully. And so yeah, it's not just about sex. Maybe the next day we go for a walk with our partner, and it's just really blissful and enjoyable and beautiful. And it's like when we first you know we go on a first date with our first crush when we were teenagers. But
yeah,
when we do that in middle age, after being with someone for so long, then usually we just have like an argument, or we're a bit moody and we're sick and tired of this person. We're tired because we lack that vital energy. We lack that
yeah,
sexual connection. It's gone, and that's why
yeah,
uh, divorce rates are so high in this world. And like you said, it can really
yeah.
make a massive impact on people's relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I really I got introduced to this topic from the book Cupid's Poisoned Arrow by Marnia Robinson. And yeah, she really goes into that. It's climax orgasm, it's the poisoned arrow of Cupid and it demagnetizes the couple. And yeah, that's why so many divorces or unharmonious couples or erratic relationships or it's couples draining each other's sexual energies. and it's
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
you sent me that quite suggestion a while ago, and I never really looked into it. And then I thought, okay, I'm doing this video. Let's look for some resources. And I remembered, oh, Luke sent me this book. So I looked into it. I looked at the author. I looked at the the some videos on YouTube about her, and I was really impressed. Like, this is someone who, because I know the reality of this, but to give it to the minds of today, which is so everyone relies on this kind of authority of science, which I don't personally, like to follow that much, but I know how much it means to people. And she really, with all this research and really science and logic based, it was just really
yeah,
impressive. Yeah.
I think that's one of the most important books like written of the century. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, it
just
really is.
if there's harmonious relationships, there's gonna be a happier. It's gonna happier marriages, more marriages. People are gonna be more energized, more vitality. They're gonna be better parents to their children. They're gonna be better to their community. Like the ripple effects of like if like I remember reading Island by Aldous Huxley. It's his book about a future utopia. He has Brave New World where like everything goes bad, a dystopian, but Island is utopia. And in his perfect society, everyone is practicing Maya Thuna or sexual alchemy, and it creates a utopia where everything is harmonious, everyone's loving and vital, and there's no ego or like if you're how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're constantly using your partner for dissipating your partner's sexual energy, the person you love the most, how is that going to translate to how everything else you do in life, in business and politics and everything? So I think, yeah, if more people knew about this, it could create a massive positive effect on the world.
Right, yeah. We all
We're
just lack energy, you
we're
know?
so obsessed with orgasms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
you know, yeah. Aldous Huxley, does it say it in that book,
So it's
Brave New World?
not in Brave New World, um,
Oh, is it?
but in Island, which is another book of his.
Oh,
But
right,
it's
right. Oh, okay.
just very briefly in that book though. It's just like
Yeah,
a couple pages. He mainly talks about other
yeah,
things. But when I read that synchronistically right after I read Cupid's Poisoned Arrow, and it was like
yeah.
all of a sudden out of nowhere I read, that's how synchronicity works. And I was like, oh, this is so amazing. And I read that book, and he's like, oh, this person thinks it's so amazing too.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm very curious how you discovered white tantra or sexual alchemy, and how your journey started.
yeah, yeah. So 10 years ago, that was. I was 20 in university. I was studying philosophy, and I saw a poster for something called the Gnostic teachings. So, what you'll find, in the author of Cupid's Poisoned Arrow points to as well, that most of alchemy, white tantra, all of the authentic teachings of this really date back to thousands of years ago in many traditions, and yeah, all sorts of spiritual groups and everything. So yeah, there is a reason for that, because it's such a sort of devotional practice, in the sense that it takes a lot of commitment. Like, for most people, it's not a casual thing to say, okay, I'm not going to have any orgasms. It's a real, like, you need some willpower. You need to make that choice. It's a real
You're fighting
life
against
commitment.
your biggest evolutionary drive. Yeah,
Right, exactly,
yeah. It
exactly.
takes
So
discipline. Yeah,
I can't remember where the quote is, where I read this quote or heard it, but something like, to deny your own human instincts is to become, a god, or more than human. So it is really uh, something great. Yeah. So yes, I saw a poster for the Gnostic teachings. The main teacher of this group is someone that was around in the 60s, 70s, called Samael Onveyor.
yeah.
He wrote like 60 books, so many teachings, and really the basis of many of those teachings is in you know Sahaja Maithuna, you know uh sexual alchemy, white tantra, sexual magic. He uses many names, and Karezza too. So yeah,
Very
the
cool.
basis of that. Yeah. And so I went to a group, and it's a teacher who's teaching it all. And yeah, I think like
And
a
yeah,
couple of months in.
I've read the perfect matrimony by Samuel. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, great.
That's an amazing book. Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
it's
very
quite
deep.
yeah very deep and also yeah quite out there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
quite out
nice.
there. Yeah, I would say, in order to understand the world of that author, you really need to explore his other books as well beforehand, because that's like, in many, as he explains, in many of these kind of secret groups, like Gnostic groups and things like that. Not secret because it's, you know, like some cult thing, but because, you know, back then in history, anything that defied like the church or anything was, you know, people were murdered. A
Be
lot of
killed.
Gnostics were
Yeah.
murdered. Yeah, killed. Yeah. So, and the reason why it takes a while for them to reveal this ancient secret is because, you know, it's difficult to understand. So usually people would, or even, and this is the same in like Buddhist traditions and many other traditions, usually the person would go through a lot of meditation, spiritual cultivation, study, and then when the teacher or a master felt that person was ready, he would, you know, bring him in and say, okay, here's the secret teaching that is gonna make you into, you know, a Superman. You know, um and yeah, so it's really kind of called, you know, the key or the secret key, and the kind of highest practice. So that's why
Yeah.
it was usually reserved for kind of the elite or the superior people, not in a, not in an egoic sense. It's just something that was, it required something. These days now, a lot of
Yeah.
Gnostics, they understand that humanity is kind of in a desperate state. And now that's why this knowledge is a lot more freely given to everyone to really try and help people uh, to kind of just sort their lives out, you know, and awaken
Yeah.
and, you know,
We've
about
gone so backwards.
consciousness and everything. Right, exactly. So,
Yeah.
you know, pornography and everything, that is our education. That's how sort of
Yeah.
kind of degenerated our minds are, you know, that
Ex-
our education in sex is just pornography. It just teaches us to waste all our energy, and that's
Yeah.
that.
It just
Yeah.
teaches us to lust and focus on taking our pleasure and objectifying. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
like,
And we never hear anything else.
yeah, it's like the average person hasn't even heard of white tantra or sexual alchemy or Karezza once. You know, it's like, it's,
Yeah.
if porn is something people hadn't even heard once, and everyone was taught sexual alchemy and when they were 18 or whatever. Yeah, we live on such a different planet. We're
Yeah,
completely
it
backwards.
would. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's interesting how we taught Samuel taught he's instead of ejaculating, he's like, don't spill the cup of Hermes. It's all like symbolic and like hidden. It's very interesting. So you got into Gnosticism at 20 and stuff, and did it instantly really connect with you? Did you see the truth in it? I imagine lots of people are going to watch this video and be like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm not sure if I'm ready for that." But it sounds like you read it, and did it resonate strongly right away?
Um,
That's
I
really
wouldn't say,
impressive. You learned about this at age 20.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say it resonate. I was like amazed, like, wow, yes, you know, let's do this. But I wouldn't say I understood it, you know, very quickly. I practiced it straight away. You know, I trusted my teacher at that time, and I wanted to, you know, do anything to, you know, as we were saying, just sort my life out, become sort of the best version of myself, and do everything I can to help myself, you know. And that was
Yeah,
given like with such value and the secrets of secrets. Like, how could I not try to integrate this? So
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't say that, like I said on that video, I wouldn't say it's easy. You know, it's something challenging, it takes time, you need to be patient with yourself. Just practicing it, you will see how difficult it is, but if you persist
yeah,
and you know, you don't judge yourself and you keep kind of studying it and meditating and, you know, really trying to feel all the energies out, eventually you'll start to be more successful with it. Yeah, it takes time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a
Yeah,
journey of transformation. And yeah, one big reason I wanted to talk
absolutely.
to you is it sounds like you've been in a white tantra relationship for a while, and how long have you been practicing? Yeah, the sexual practice.
Yeah, so I was, so at age 20 I was in another relationship um for a few years, and then had a breakup. So I did practice it in my last relationship, but like I said, I was young. I still am, but I didn't really understand it, you know. Not that it did make a difference. It did make a difference in me and in the relationship at the time, but many things can change, and at that time, you know, we really sort of weren't meant for each other. Anyway, after a
Yeah,
break, I'm in the relationship that I'm in now for almost 7 years now. And yes, so that was another opportunity to be like, okay, great, in a new relationship, let's, um, I do alchemy and I just, you know, practice this. And yeah, I would say it still took a
very
couple of
cool.
years to start to, you know, really, really say to myself, okay, I'm gonna really try and like just get this nailed into myself and actually practice it without you know failing, you know. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I in a past relationship 2 years ago, we talked about and we tried it, but yeah, we would have accidents. It really takes a committed couple, and it seems to be the couple also needs to be the right fit for each other too, is what I learned. It seemed like not
Yeah.
quite the right fit for each other, and to be patient and wait for a partner that really
Right.
feels right. It seems important,
Right.
but
And this
it
is why
takes
it's
discipline.
also
It was harder than I thought. In the moment, it's easy to
yeah.
give into our animal instincts.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
so
that's one of the
conditioned that way.
things, right? To bring that's the practice, right? To bring consciousness to the moment. And it
Yeah,
takes time because you need that energy to cultivate, but if you're cultivating it in if you're trying to stimulate yourself with you know lustful thoughts and everything in order to be in order to be ready and to you know to have sex, then you just have to wait. It takes time to cultivate naturally without having you know fetishes and all things like this. Yeah.
yeah,
um
yeah,
yeah, so this is why it's also to do with the awakening of consciousness or kundalini and things like that, because let's say I stayed in that all that relationship that I was in. If I didn't practice this, maybe I'd still be uh, miserable and still in that relationship because I wasn't awake enough to realize that I this relationship, you know, wasn't working and we weren't meant for each other. But sometimes we stay in relationships because we just can't be bothered in life, you know, and we become sort of we attach ourselves to the drama, to painful relationships. And so, you know, this is really about not just
yeah,
serving your partner, but really having the ability to feel love within yourself and look after yourself too, and do what's best for you and also the person you're with. So it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean that it solves all relationships. It's
yeah,
kind of aligns you with this sort of divine purpose about what's right for you, and it might mean that you might change a partner. Who knows? You know, in my case, it happened that way.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And so, have you had any orgasms lately, or have you been orgasm free for quite a while? Or and if there's any personal thing you don't want to share, I completely understand. So,
No, it's fine.
yeah.
You ask any question, but
But
no, it's been about 4 years or something like that. Yeah,
with
4 5 years. Yeah, and
zero
it's not.
orgasms.
Yes, and
Wow,
it
that's very
yeah.
impressive and inspiring. Yeah, I think just hearing that, lots of viewers are gonna be like, okay, I could do this, you know?
Right, right.
Because there's no one
Yeah,
out there who's yeah, it's the theory is out there, but to actually hear, hey, here's Gene, he's been doing this for 4 years. That's very inspiring for me to hear.
right, right. Yeah, I don't think there is a lot of people you know, uh, say that too. I know some people in my life who, uh, Gnostics and other friends who have been doing it for years too. The book, Mantak Chia, um, I, I would say I don't agree with all of the practices in there, but he's not been experiencing any orgasms for like decades or something. He said the only time he did was when he wanted a baby, and then he did that he had an orgasm with his wife and he made a baby, but the rest of his life, you know, he's not been having any. He says it's absolutely fine. You'll get a handle of it. It does take a lot of willpower in the beginning. It kind of always does, but it does get easier. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was under the
And
impression that Montauk Chia was having orgasms but without ejaculation.
right, I think a lot, there's such a common question. I think a lot of people kind of get that mixed up. And I, I just don't like that. I don't like using the word orgasm for it. But I
Yeah.
don't entirely disagree with what Mantak Chia is saying there, because in union with your partner, it's not that you come together and there's no pleasure. It's actually on a higher, subtle dimension of our being. It's more
Yeah.
pleasurable, you know, and that's what I believe that's what Manchak Chia is pointing towards. It becomes like this blissful, beautiful
Yeah.
experience of union, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real, yeah, gotcha. He seems to be focused on the semen, which one reason I really like Cupid's poisoned arrow, she was like, hey, this is really important for women too, which I like that. 'Cause I've talked to some guys who the guy doesn't orgasm, but the woman or it does have climaxes, but that seems unbalanced to me. You know?
Right. It is. Yeah, because
Yeah.
and that, I think that's quite common, because usually men stereotypically last for like 30 seconds, right? And the woman's not satisfied. Actually, it can be the
Yeah.
other way around when you practice this, that and I was there too, you know, that okay, you have sex, you can go for as long as you want. You really can.
Yeah.
um and but if the woman is it if she climaxes and she doesn't feel it anymore after 5 minutes, you're just left like, oh, I can't. i I need to carry on, you know, I'm not satisfied.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good to talk to your partner, encourage them to, okay, look, you know, just get in touch with it, see from your, don't just believe me, but see in your own experience what it's like without it, see what
Yeah.
our relationship's going to be like, and
Yeah.
yeah, they'll usually follow follow along, and if you support them as well, and really try to get them to understand. And one of the reasons I made that video, you know, was to, you know, show my partner as well and show other people that, you know, use have a resource that can be more relatable and help people to
It's amazing.
practice.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
knocked it out of the park with that video. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Uh, and another question, and it's something I'm pretty good at now, but especially when I first heard these concepts, it was hard. Is if I was like going on a date or just starting to get to know a girl, to communicate these things, and that's a comment I get on the videos I've made about Karezza or sacred sexuality. Is it is because it's so underground and our society is so conditioned for climaxes and lust, you know. I'm curious, with your current partner, maybe your current partner and your previous partner, how was your process of introducing this topic and discussing it? Was it pretty flowing, or did you, or I don't know if you could share about that?
Right. So, yeah, good question. When we, so like I said, when I first discovered it, I knew it. I knew the kind of knowledge, but it was very vague for me. You know, I didn't really understand it. I didn't have direct knowledge, direct experience in it. So it really just, for me, it doesn't have to happen this way for other people, but for me, it really just was a vague thing that I mentioned, you know, like, oh, you know, I don't have orgasms, but you're fine to do whatever you want. But for me, this is what I do, and it's great. Don't be insecure, because I think a lot of women feel that they have to satisfy the man, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, don't feel insecure that I'm not kind of reaching climax. It's very enjoyable for me, so it's all okay. Um, After a while of doing that, I think, like I just said, the man kind of needs eventually to have the partner also, you know, kind of join, and or at least like prolong her climaxes if she doesn't want to join in. But usually, from the energy, from your own approach and subtle approach, and loving attention, women anyway. I don't know. I don't have experience the other way around about women trying to get the man to do it, but
Yeah.
I think it's a little easier for a man because women are more they're receptive. They soak in and they're attentive to you. And when they
Yeah.
start to see the man is quite they can really latch on to this new loving energy, esoterically or spiritually or like symbolically in these teachings. A man is like a spear. There's a lot of force there, and when he directs it with all of this love and this purity, the man
Yeah.
is more the woman is more like a what is it S something that receives. She's like a bowl or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
So yeah.
eventually, I had to I started to when I started to understand and start to sort of evolve with the practice, then I was able to communicate it more effectively. I mean, I know my partner, right? And I know how to uh, teach it in a way that she'll understand too. And then eventually, more, and I
Hmm.
think over the years, it just became natural, to things come up in conversation. You live with them and you just start talking about it, and eventually,
Yeah.
it just becomes more advanced. And yeah,
Yeah.
you both
Yeah.
grow with it naturally, I would say. You're a couple, you're a union, you
Yeah.
just know each other. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Mm.
makes, yeah. I was talking to a girl a couple days ago, and she was saying she brought up um no orgasm sex with her ex, and her ex was not open at all, and it was like, oh, this is repressive. You don't want me to ejaculate, and I don't blame guys for thinking about that if they've never heard of it before. I think if you're with someone, they should be open-minded and look into it. But yeah, that makes sense. It might be more difficult for women to explain. But so yeah, that's
Yeah.
one reason your video I think is so good. Is it's a way to, hey, check out this stuff, and this is something we should experiment with together, explore together. And I think there's really something to this.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
takes leadership on the man if he's explaining it. And for the woman, yeah, it's yeah, it's a journey of transformation, not on just purifying our sexuality, but also speaking our truth and being like, hey, this is what I value, and it's like I've had to grow in my communication skills, on this journey.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are many women who have, guided their man to
Yeah,
this journey too. It's really
yeah,
it's really a test of love. Is the man going to uh value his own passions over love for the woman, and really listen to her, and hear her out? Like you said, it is right
yeah,
that it can be it can be repression if you don't fully understand it. That's why we like
yeah,
to use the word transmutation. it's
yeah,
it's a literal it's a literal overcoming of those passions, like down there, and denying that, but transmuting it into consciousness. Bring your consciousness to that, and choose to do something else, and not act on those passions so wildly. And
yeah,
the practice is, it can be it leads to very blissful states, rather
yeah.
than
That's
just
what
acting on. Mm,
every
yeah.
couple I know who does practice it absolutely loves it. It's that's one thing. It's like I've never met a couple or someone who's tried it and been like, you know what, actually, orgasm normal sex is better. It's like the secret of secrets. Once someone wakes up from the matrix of our sexuality and tries it, I've heard the same thing from everyone. It's so blissful and pleasurable, and you have sex for a longer time, and you could have sex quite often. You don't. It's so it's um when we were emailing, I
Yeah.
really liked what you were saying about you said it's not about doing but being. And I've had some comments. It seems like some people hear about this and they try to have normal sex, but then slam on the brakes before climax, and that's
Yeah.
misguided, you know. So I really liked what it seemed like. So I was curious, are you mainly in stillness? Is there movement? You explained it in your email really cool. It's like about being, but like one thing I heard is it's important to be almost as relaxed as possible. You know, the opposite of heating each other up. You know, it's about being very relaxed. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, as hard as it is to describe, yeah, how, to describe the actual what it is in sexual alchemy and
Yeah.
sacred sex, if you could give it your best shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I said it's less to do about what to do and more about how to be. Yeah.
I love
Because
that. Yeah,
we're always focused on uh what to do, what kind of sex position are we going to have today, and all of that. And when we approach it with how to actually be, then that changes the whole dynamic of what's going to happen,
yeah,
so yeah. So I mean, just by, okay, don't act on animal lust. That's already kind of one aspect of how to be. Because then if you don't do that, then what is it going to be like? And
yeah,
this is why sex is seen as a quite a magical, sacred thing, because we don't know what it's going to be like. Every time, I have sex, right? I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know what we're going to do, but you just follow the currents of that love and that embrace, and you haven't no mind, no thinking. It's just it's like a
yeah,
dance, right, with your partner. You don't know what it's going to be like.
yeah.
But of course we can try to um talk about it. And yeah, you
That's very
asked,
beautiful
is
what you
it
just said. I like that a lot.
yeah. And it's is, like you said, it's is it moving or is it stillness? I would say it's it starts more with moving and then ends with stillness.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to move. There does need to be something that can ignite the fires, right? And
yeah,
to kind of, it's not about just killing the bull, but kind of teasing it. So in
yeah.
some tantric books, you'll read that it's stealing fire from heaven or stealing fire from hell, you could say, from these the lower aspects. There's a power there that we can
Start with the
kind
lower
of
chakras and kind of build up,
extract.
or yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So yes, you can kiss, you can do all the erotic things, and yes, you can move, but it's about first being attentive of how excited you are, and you will start to feel the build up kind of normally, of all this energy. And eventually, as it, let's say you kind of in a normal conventional sense, you get to like 70% of that normal way to kind of excite. Yeah, and it shouldn't be done, of
yeah.
course, in a really, really like animal passionate way, but just
Jackhammering and
normal.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Right. I would say like around 70%, and enjoying that time of, you know, it, it could, depending on the day or the energies, that could take 10 minutes to maybe even an hour if the couple is just really enjoying themselves. But once you say, I would say, get to that like 70 or 80% mark, that's when you start to, like I said in my video, you start to work with that bull. Like it really starts to come like, okay, here's the temptations are coming. It's going to come. And then you feel the you feel the temptation to kind of, maybe you start getting images, or you start to think in a strange way. You just keep detached and not identified with it all, and you just stay in this union, because the passion will rise up, but you also need an equal amount of bringing the consciousness into those moments. So conscious
yeah,
awareness, really, really present, really in the body.
Yeah.
So just as how intense an orgasm can be, we also bring more consciousness, more presence intensely in those moments, so that we're not overtaken by all of that. And it can be really a whole body experience, not in an orgasm sense, but more in like you just totally in this moment, in your body, and you can really feel that, if you wanted to, you can just simply by the power of your mind. I know this is more for like when you're a bit more advanced with it, but simply by the power of your mind in those moments, you can choose to make the energy go down and out, or you can feel it coming inwards and upwards. And more simply put, it's in those intensities of those moments, it's more about focusing on the heart, and you will feel an
Yeah.
energy here, and a love, and focusing on the person, and then also raising that energy to the head, um, and just making a conscious decision of willpower of uh, going to stillness, and
Yeah.
not focusing on any of that, not acting on any of that. And eventually that stillness will just calmly slowly come to an end. But if you're successful with those sort of temptations or tests of fire, of passion, uh, instead you sort of get rewarded with this. You just retain all of this magical energy. It's very hard to explain. You can, see that I'm kind of
Yeah.
struggling to explain it, but it's really so
Really
magical. It's hard to
awesome.
put into words. Yeah,
Really awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's what in my brief experience I never quite got to that level of but it was very brief, and for most of my experience we were using condoms too, and I think that's another reason the energy exchange wasn't full. But one interesting thing is those lots of people in comments will be like, oh, what about blue balls? For me, because it was an hour or an hour and a half and it was so relaxed and stillness at the end, blue balls wasn't an issue at all, which is really nice. But yeah, but I never got to those like transcendent feelings in my brief experience with it. It sounds like, yeah, you get to this. Does your mind or emotions get to like a transcendent place, or does it come just this full body energy or this heart feeling, or I guess it's different at different times?
yeah. You know, it's a simple word, but you're really connecting to love, and not just
Yeah.
a sort of a crush love, or the way we love, I don't know, video games or TV series. It's really, this sexual love is something really, really
Yeah.
beyond, and it's you really feel a union with your partner. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, the blue balls, just to comment on that, is really it. It is a physical thing. It can be a physical thing, but it's also more fundamentally, it's a psychic thing. It's an energetic thing. So if a guy is right, it doesn't even have to be with tantra with a partner. If he's just really struggling to keep all his energy in, and the logical thing he thinks, right, is, oh, I'm going to, I really need to ejaculate because all of my sperm is there and it's going to explode. And usually in those cases, it's actually just because lust is out of control, right? And maybe he's
Yeah.
seen a lot of women throughout the week. He gets a lot of erections. He's not working in any way to actually uh, battle with those things, with those
Yeah.
passions, and he's just letting them go out. So of course, it's there's a expansion of energy there, and it's not being transmuted towards other things, and he's going to feel maybe a
Yeah.
pain. Or so again, it's this thing about transmutation. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I really like the Glorian website that you share. There's some really great articles there about, yeah, purifying the mind and stilling the ego. And it's
exactly.
body
Yeah,
transformation and mental and emotional I mean, it's spiritual, physical, mental, emotional. It's, yeah, the perfect alchemy of everything. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Uh,
that's why it really is a spiritual thing, and challenging if you don't if you're not the kind of person, if you're not at that level of focusing on spirituality, on
Yeah,
purifying the mind and getting to know yourself, like who you are and your
yeah,
emotions, then yeah, it's going to be more difficult because you're just going to be a person who acts on impulses. So it's better first
yeah,
to study our mind, integrate some kind of discipline there, then go to our emotions, and then the deepest
yeah,
level of our being, right, which is the sexual center.
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes, yeah. When I first learned about this, I was like, why is this so underground? But yeah, now it really takes a person of quite high consciousness to master this. And it's quite a
Yeah,
journey.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah,
yeah. A lot of most spiritual teachers or masters are men who have lived their whole life in a normal way, and then when they're older and they don't have the lower impulses anymore, then they just teach. Give a lot of teachings, but they don't give the sexual teachings. But it's
yeah.
probably because they don't have those urges anymore. But while we're young, I mean, we can't just we can't just ignore that, you know. And this is the practice to integrate that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, one thing I super appreciate about you is, yeah, like any prominent spiritual teacher today, Eckhart Tolle, anyone, it's like, do they even know about sexual alchemy? Do they practice it? It's like Carl Jung, he didn't know about this. It's like, I don't know, Jordan, like lots of people look up to for advice. Jordan Peterson has mixed reactions. I don't think has Jordan Peterson even heard of this? You know, he's gone so deep into so many areas, but it's like so many of the top
I don't
teachers.
think he has.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think he has. Yeah.
Because
Um,
I know he said that he talked about being depressed a lot, and honestly,
yeah,
if you practice this, you won't have depression. You just won't.
yeah,
It's a fact.
yeah,
Really.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
these top teachers have never. I was talking to a girl a couple of days ago, and she was, yeah, like there was like a sexuality expert, and she brought up this practice with the sexuality expert, and
Right.
they were like, no, orgasms are healthy. That's sexual. What are you know, like completely like. Not only have they never heard of it, but they like demonize it. It's like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also Eckhart Tolle. I think someone asked him about sex, or the role of sex in spirituality, and his answer was basically, "Oh, he said in a joking way, let me remember." You know, so it goes it goes back to what I said about he found spirituality at quite an old age, but people like
Yeah,
me and you, I mean, we're here now. We want to do the work, but we've got
yeah.
this big bull down there that, like, what do we do with it? How do we handle this huge energy? And yeah.
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 But brother, like I feel like you and me are more advanced than these top teachers who have never even heard about this, and you because you've had 5 years of
In many
experience.
ways. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I remember Marnia Robertson in her book talks about, yeah, in old age, couples who practice Karezza, they're still having sex a lot, you know? It's like that passion doesn't die if you're doing sexual alchemy, white tantra, Karezza, because why would it? You know, it's like
Yeah.
so it's such
Yeah.
like such a beautiful thing. And yeah, for me, when I was back when I didn't know about this, when I was having normal sex, I was so performance based. I was trying to impress the girl and so in my head, so in fantasy. So am I doing this right? Am I going quick enough? Is she going to orgasm? And it's so once I finally got a taste of this, it was so much better, you know, like this such an amazing thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
I've
really
seen.
hope you know
Mm.
how important your message is because this has the power to like your video should be the most viewed spiritual video on the internet. You know, it's that important that no one knows about it, but yet someone talking about how to manifest their beach house will be the most viewed video. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really just, yeah, I've been
so
quite,
I really value you and appreciate you. Yeah, you're doing
yeah,
amazing work.
thank you. Yeah, I've really been just, yeah, touched by you and all the comments of people, really, because as you said, this is something quite underground, and I never made a video so much because I just didn't feel that people would really connect with it, or accept it, like we've been talking about. But all the comments I've seen and like your response, people really just and a lot of men and women have been commenting like, yeah, I've had all of these horrible experiences with sex. I never wanted to, go there again. A lot of traumatic sexual experiences. And then they say
Yeah,
that, whoa, this information totally makes sense. Um, Now I want to have a partner again. I want to experience love again,
yeah,
and practice this because it just totally makes sense. So it's like, yeah,
yeah.
wow, it's really something.
This information is so needed and will help so many people to resonate if they just heard about it,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so many people are ready for this now. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, yeah, just it's quite revolutionary, as we were saying.
yeah.
It's
And Marnia
and
talks about in her book, people who do this, they don't have their jealousy goes way down, or people heal from sexual traumas. They stop fantasizing. They're devoted to their partner. There's so many benefits: health, vitality, relationships, spiritual. It
yeah.
just blows my mind how amazing it is, and yet so
Yeah,
secretive.
it really is. Yeah, there's so many just like relationship help things, and it's really just all a sort of vain attempt to try and cover up the sort of lower effects of not practicing this, and it's really just, it is amazing
Uh,
how, okay, you don't need any relationship advice, just practice this and just see how great your relationship is going to be. Not all the time, we do have,
yeah,
we have ego and we have
yeah,
preferences and things like that, but it is alleviated a lot simply due to
yeah.
being in love with your partner again at a on every level, sexually,
Yeah,
emotionally, yeah,
but
everything.
like probably like 1% of marriage therapists know about this. The people who try to help
Mm.
relationships, none of them even know about it. That's,
Right, exactly.
I'm sure a handful of people. I actually learned about this because I went to therapy for my porn addiction, and my therapist recommended me keep its poisoned arrow. So there are people in the know out there.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right.
and in your video, you talked about how yeah, there's no birth control, and I want to ask you more about that because I've heard about that too. But that is also something that you wanna you don't want to take any chances with. So like,
Yeah, right.
can you talk more about that? And do you have worries about pre-cum?
No, I don't. That's it really. I've been practicing for, yeah, like I said, a long time. No babies. um
Yeah, gotcha.
and that's it. Yeah, it's something that people are going to have to take a leap of faith with. Um maybe, if the guy is kind of still struggling to uh keep his energies in, maybe there is a chance of having a baby. I don't know, but um, and
Yeah.
there is a lot of. I left a podcast that my friend did with another author, another academic who looked into ancient practices of immaculate conception.
I listened to that
Mm.
podcast that you shared.
Oh,
Yeah,
great!
that was really interesting,
Yeah, yeah. So
fascinating.
it just in total Gnostic teachings understanding. And this is quite spiritual. I mean, this isn't very academic, what I'm about to say, but babies, and you'll find a lot of people, couples who come together and they're trying for a baby, right? And we usually, this is just sort of my belief, but also what I've learned in throughout all of these sexual mysteries. A lot of couples, they really try to have a baby. They think it's because of like the nutrition, and they go and get checked out, and there's all of these problems. I would say that if God, the divine purpose, just the whole sort of manifestation of your life is meant to play out. If you're not meant to have a baby, I don't know if there's karma there, something. You probably, won't have a baby. If you're meant to have a baby, then you will.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
It,
that makes sense.
and even if a couple is doing white tantra and they have a baby, in Gnostic understanding, that's considered as uh, immaculate conception because the man did an orgasm, yet there is a baby. I know that in science, yes, there will be like some articles that say, "Oh, yes, there is sperm in what is it called, pre-ejaculatory
Yeah,
liquid or whatever, pre-cum." Um,
yeah.
then yes, but I don't believe so. You know,
I
it's a
mean,
clear
and it's been true in
substance.
your experience too, practicing for
Yeah,
several years and no baby. That's
yeah,
feels good
and
for me to hear that. Yeah, that alleviates some of my
yeah,
worry.
yeah, and it's just a clear substance. You know, there's no, it's not white. It's not. It's just like the
It's just a
woman.
lubrication. Yeah,
Yeah, just as a woman gets lubrication, so does the man. So
yeah.
yeah, anyone practicing
That's
it,
great
you
to hear
know,
your perspective.
don't sue me, but that's just my experience. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah,
When researching it, I didn't find anything conclusive, so that's really great to hear. Yeah, you pricing for several years with no
yeah,
no accidental baby, no unintentional baby, and yeah,
yeah.
I saw two studies. One said there isn't sperm in the pre-ejaculate, but one said it did. But I looked into it and it said maybe there, if someone ejaculated within, I don't know, a day or two, maybe there still could be sperm in the pre-cum, but if they haven't ejaculated in a while, then it's clean. You know, I don't know. So that kind of made sense to
Okay.
me,
Yeah.
but
Right, right,
I don't
yeah.
know.
And I think this is where yoga and practices like pranayama, which I think is, at least for me, it's been very fundamental, quite mandatory, I would say, to practice some kind of breathing exercise, whether it's Wim Hof, because that is a form of pranayama. So
Hmm.
pranayama is the way to get your energies flowing inwards and upwards,
Yeah,
and not going downwards. So
yeah,
pranayama helps with that, you know, where there are a lot of
yeah,
different techniques, but generally you just want to be feeling this energy going inwards and upwards.
yeah,
And it's not different from the sexual flow. In If you're attentive in sex, you'll see that if you just have all of this kind of heavy lower energy, it just wants to go downwards and outwards. But if
yeah,
you're, you know, practicing meditation, doing pranayama, whether it's like alternate no nostril breathing, different energy, if you just feel that prana is going inwards and upwards, you generally won't feel that impulse to, it won't be a strong struggle anymore. You'll be quite pleasurable,
yeah,
and you'll feel mastery over the energy. Yeah,
yeah. That makes sense. It's like lust
yeah.
could kind of gets the testicles going, but if we're in the more higher
Yeah,
vibration, it's easier to
yeah.
transmute that
So
energy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So if you're, you know, if you're single, I think the best thing for single people is that they continue to focus on their path of self-discovery, and just put out feelings into the universe. Maybe you're religious, whatever, do a prayer that you will meet the person that is right for you, and you'll meet someone out of love, and in love there is communication, there is honesty, uh, there's sacrifice on both parts for the both of the couples to hear each other out and try things
yeah,
out. And it won't be too scary, you know, like, oh, am I going to have a baby with this, you know, person that I don't know if I want to spend my life with them? Well, like I kind of said in the video, sex is a sacred thing, and it's
yeah,
also, don't have sex with someone that you might not want a baby with, in a way, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I think that that's also nice, you know. A lot of guys
yeah,
like our age who go dating and we're like, okay, we want sex like the first night or something, but it's nice to meet uh, someone and date for, even if it takes like 6 months of just kind of being in this friendly non-physical touching period, at
yeah,
least even if it takes months, it's still joyful, and it's still um it's more natural. You'll enjoy being with that person, not in a just a sexual way, but cultivate
yeah,
a real relationship with that person. And yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Actually create a strong foundation. probably lots of
Exactly, yeah.
people think that's love, but it's actually just sexual passion. But if you actually build that foundation on a personality level and enjoy hanging out with each other without sex, that shows there's a true love connection, true
Yeah,
compatibility.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
some people are just sort of have a connection on like an emotional plane, emotional
yeah,
level, friendship level. We kind of, for the best relationship, we need kind of all levels, you know.
yeah,
There needs to be a purpose, a working together, friendship, intellectual kind of ideas you agree on at least, and then there's the sexual part as well. If it's just
yeah.
sex, I mean, it's not a relationship, and if it's just talking, that's not a
That's
sexual
friendship.
relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I was to prepare for this. I read the Perfect Man, the Perfect Matrimony 5 years ago or so, and but I was just rereading it the last 2 days. And yeah, he talks about there should be alignment on the mental plane, the physical plane, the astral plane, the etheric plane. Yeah, exactly
yeah.
what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So
Right,
many people
yeah,
maybe just have
yeah.
one or two, but to find that match where it's all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and sadly, you know, a lot of people do just uh, get married or come together out of, you know, security. You know, I would
Yeah.
say most commonly, men just get with a woman out of lust, right? Or a woman
Yeah.
just gets with a man out of security because he has a lot of money or something.
Yeah.
And I'm
Fear
not
of being
saying, you know,
alone
those
or
are,
yeah.
yeah, and I think all of us to a degree was sort of, you know, guilty of that. So I'm not saying that that's a bad
Yeah.
thing. It's just that, look, there's this
Yeah.
knowledge now
Yeah.
in order for your relationship to now deepen and actually connect on
Yeah.
a deeper level and get to know each other more
Yeah.
intimately. Yeah. Yeah.
But the birth control thing could be really big because so many women are on birth control and it has mental health problems for them or causes physical problems. You know, if this is a way
Right.
for women to get off birth control, that could be very good for lots of their health. Um,
Yes. Yeah, definitely. At least in the Gnostic teachings, birth control, especially like the pill, is something that is basically said it's basically, you know, like demonic. It's not good. It's not a good thing for the woman to do that. It messes with her hormones. Hormones are
yeah,
related to the chakras in the body, and we shouldn't use synthetic things to do that. So yeah.
there's so many
um,
benefits that could come out of this practice. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And
absolutely.
one of my last questions is, I don't know much about Kundalini. It's not something I've experienced or studied really. So I'm curious if you have any more thoughts on Kundalini if you want to share, and have you experienced your Kundalini rising all the way up, or have any experience you'd like to share with that?
Yeah, so Kundalini is, and one of the reasons why these sexual teachings steeped in traditions and deep spirituality being in symbols and everything is because it does become this more emotional journey rather than, you know, being in our heads and being intellectual and thinking about it and being in theories, because it really is
Yeah.
something quite enjoyable in our direct experience. So Kundalini is, it is the sexual energy. So as a
Okay.
basic kind of description of this energy, it's a serpent coiled at the base of our spine.
Yeah.
The Kundalini is any depiction of the divine mother. So that means when we hear of like feminine energy or the feminine principle, the formlessness, you know, what
Yeah.
allows the planet Earth to be? It the space allows the planet to be, right, formlessness,
Yeah.
where just like a mother creates a space within her womb, that's a mother principle. So any depiction, Isis, Brahma, Virgin Mary, whatever, this is all this intelligence of the divine mother, and that is also Kundalini, also known as Devi Kundalini or Mother Kundalini.
Yeah.
So it's in these spiritual groups and traditions, it's understood that Kundalini is a feminine force. It is sex, and that's why women are kind of known as sex. You know, they're a symbol of
Yeah,
sex, not in a bad way. They're just sexual. You know, like women are women are beautiful. You know, sexually. Like
yeah,
men,
just lovely.
us men,
Yeah.
yeah, us men are a bit more like I don't, dwarves or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
My friend Nick Brothermore, he talks about in his book about Karezza. He's like, women are like yin, which naturally has that sexual energy, but men have yang, and men need to cultivate their sexual energy. So
right,
I like that. That made a lot of sense to me.
yeah,
Women just
yeah,
naturally have it. Yeah.
right. And actually, this practice, I got a lot of comments on my videos, like women saying, "Oh, I just naturally do this. Like this is no surprise to me. This is more
Yeah.
natural." And then there's a lot of men saying, "Why would you ever do this if you don't want orgasms?" Like, you know,
Yeah.
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 So, and that is the case. I would say in my experience too with my partner, she's not that bothered. You know, when I was like, "Let's just do this," and she's like, "Okay." You know, it's
Yeah.
me that is all the struggle. Like, oh, I've got all this passion and lust. You know, it's really difficult. So,
Yeah.
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 So yeah. So to continue, because it's a mother energy, how would you treat your own mother? You know, um, and so it's taught in these mysteries that the serpent is asleep at the base of the spine. In translation, that just means our consciousness is asleep. We're kind of dreaming, you know. This is why spirituality exists, because we want to awaken. So it's recoiled because we don't have that energy, because we don't have you know, kind of two reasons. We don't have our sexual energy, because it's all expelled. And then also because it's taught that, you know, she doesn't like it when we act lustfully towards women.
Yeah.
It's kind of taught that, you know, don't look lustfully and don't uh taint the beauty of what is a woman, you know, because
Yeah.
if we start to kind of violently or passionately or aggressively treat women, that's
Yeah.
not how a man is really meant to treat a woman, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so once we start making our mother happy, our serpent,
Yeah.
Kundalini at the bottom, and we start retaining it, then she's happy with us, her son. So this is a teaching,
Yeah.
and then she starts to, then we start to awaken, you know, and
Yeah.
it's the the serpent going up the spine is just symbolic or just reflective of our journey of awakening ourself and knowing ourself. So
Mm-hmm.
Samael, how he says it is that Kundalini rises up according to the merits of our hearts. So as you're on this journey, if you're doing all the right things, if you're, you know, kind of being good to your woman, your wife, if you're doing the right things in your life, if you're speaking up when you need to, if you're overcoming your temptations, then you start to gain merits there, you know, you start to
Yeah.
feel more happy with yourself, you know, like many men get depression because of masturbation and we don't feel good with ourselves. But when we do
Yeah.
start becoming getting into our power, becoming like the best version of ourselves, etc.,
Yeah.
then we that energy we really start to cultivate it. We develop our own mind, we develop our superior emotions, and we really start to just grow up. You know, most men are like
Yeah.
14-year-old, still stuck in like a 14-year-old body, you know,
Yeah.
and they can be
Yeah.
60 years old, but they just, it's because they haven't made progress with this energy, this feminine principle. My Gnostic teacher, he said it like all men need to cultivate their inner vagina and all women need to cultivate their inner uh,
Yeah.
penis or lingam, you know. So and it's true, you know. Yeah,
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, I think there's lots of like shame and guilt about sexuality in our culture because people do know deep down how mainstream people think about sexuality, even if they're not aware of it unconsciously, they know something isn't loving about this. Something the Divine Mother doesn't approve of this. And like
Yeah.
the people
Yeah.
I do know who practice white Tantra Karezza, it's interesting. They're just talking about sex openly. It's just a normal thing to talk about because it's this beautiful, pure thing. There's no reason to hide it or be shamed or guiltful about it because it's coming from this pure and beautiful and heart chakra loving place. It's
Right.
so missing from our world. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah, yeah, just like that. You know, um, I even I wanted to, you know, just give this information to my mum, but I felt like, oh, talking about sex. It's like, Mum, it's okay. You know, we're we're just, it's nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's just like you said. We really have this kind of sinful view about sex, and it's not a sinful thing. It's natural. It's just that we've made it
yeah,
sinful in our mind.
yeah,
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 yeah. I think this is the path to get back to Eden. Like yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I think the apple that Eve eats is orgasm. And to get back to Eden, we need to, yeah, go back to our more pure, yeah,
yeah,
starting a
right.
pure place. Yeah,
Yeah, and not by rejecting sex, but by
yeah,
enjoying it, but just without wasting it, and without being kind of irresponsible with it, and doing
yeah,
strange things with it. You know, just looking after it. It's like a plant that
yeah,
you yeah, like a plant that you you know, uh
yeah.
enjoy. Yeah,
Nurture
yeah,
and yeah, yeah.
nurture.
Well,
Right.
it's very inspiring hearing your insights and experience, and you're very gifted at talking about this. It's been an honor having you on. Let me look at my notes if there was any last questions I had. I think we covered most of it. Yeah, I think we covered. Is there any
Okay.
last thoughts or topic that you'd like to discuss to wrap it up?
um of course, you know, uh go to the video and look at the resources in the description. I think that book
Yeah,
that you introduced me to, Cupid's Poison Arrow, is really good. The title is really good. You know,
yeah,
it Cupid is great, but it can also be, it can turn into a poison as well, which is
yeah,
great. Jiddu Krishnamurti, he has kind of a sort of a famous saying that love is total attention. So, and if you kind of just go into the practice with that knowledge, that love is attention, you know, anything you give attention to, it grows, right? Whether it's a business, your child, your
yeah,
family. And in the practice, it's really just about giving your pure attention, and also being conscious of where your attention is going. You know,
yeah,
we came into this world through sex. It's a creative force, you know. So when you start to practice this, and you're not going with the animal impulse of creating a baby, then what are you creating? So I know there's a lot of teachings
yeah,
about kind of using this for manifestation. Well, yeah, it does work, because you're not creating a baby, you're not creating a whole human being that's going to live for another 100 years, but you're going to create something, you know. So
yeah,
what are you creating? Are you going to create, sort of, go down a route of like weird fetishes and just create a strange dynamic in your relationship, or are you going to create just love and keep it innocent,
yeah,
keep it enjoyable, and are you going to, you know, really just harness all of this energy for your own, you know, spiritual growth and your own
yeah,
cultivation? So
yeah,
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 that,
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, love
Really
is
beautifully
total
said.
attention. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, yeah. A couple days ago I was watching. Yeah, it's something about one of your videos. Uh, Making relationships part of your spiritual path or something that you made like a year and a half ago or something. And yeah, you talked about the attention, and I really liked your perspective there. I never thought about it as love as attention, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does,
those
right?
are another really cool video of
Where
yours.
yeah, one of where our attention flows, we create a reality, you know. And
Yeah,
so it's not just about saying this is bad and don't do this, but it's more about just a science as well, you know, like whatever you do in life is whatever you put out, you get in return. So whatever you're doing in life, whether it's anything, whatever job you do, whatever thoughts you have, it's going to create a reality according to where our attention goes. And
yeah,
if in a relationship your attention is in purity, is in love, devotion, marriage, like the matrimony, the real union, and having a friendship and all of these things, that's what you'll get. um and
yeah,
yeah, so but if we lose that power, then there's an unconsciousness, you know, that we're
yeah,
in a sort of darkness, and we're not in control of our own life, you know. So
yeah,
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 yeah. If you could, our sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces. So for if someone could control and harness and transmute their sexual energy, that'll ripple off into all areas of their life. Yeah,
yeah,
for like
yeah.
sexuality is almost like a fire. It has the power to warm a meal and cook and provide nutrition, and be like the most beautiful, nurturing thing, or it has the power to be a fire and burn down houses and destroy a village, or it could be a divorce, or sex is a double. It could be the most beautiful thing or a very destructive thing. So this is, I'm not sure what I'm not sure what could possibly be more of an important topic than this.
Exactly, yeah. And I think a lot of people will, of course, fail, you know.
Yeah,
But I think you know, it's not about us falling, but it's about how quickly we can get up and also learn from
yeah,
those mistakes and really meditate on, you know, why am I so obsessed with this certain habit, or why has this led to being why has this led to me failing, you know? Maybe you were playing computer games all day, and then your girlfriend wanted to make love to you, and you spent all day unconsciously. So I mean, is
yeah,
sex going to be on is it going to be conscious? You know, probably not. You're going to just enjoy her body, and you just, you know, whatever. So like you
yeah,
said, it is a whole life integration, and it's not just about the sexual act. It really is about your whole life. It's totally integral to
yeah,
psychology, emotions, your finding your purpose in life, you know. um
yeah,
and I've really found that too, you know, that I think if I never practice this, I think I said on the video, I wouldn't be on YouTube. I wouldn't have wrote a book, I, because first I wouldn't have had the energy to do that. It's,
yeah,
a- and and I think when you do fail, you know, you really do start to question your life, you know, and you realize that, okay, if I do make better choices in life, they can be very simple. Like, I start eating healthy. I stop ordering like so many takeouts. I actually start exercising or something. And you just start to see that, okay, you do better in this white tantric practice, but also you have better self-esteem. You make better choices in your other parts of your life, and you still practice this white tantra, and it's all that energy is being cultivated. You just start enjoying your life in so many aspects and dimensions. So it's just, yeah, it's great.
uh, extremely beautifully said. Yeah.
Yeah,
I so many people need to hear this information. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like,
yeah,
yeah, like how you started your last video. We're in the beginning of a new sexual revolution, hopefully.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So
And I think it's something that I know so many people have reacted so positively. And like I said, it's a never-ending journey. It's like climbing a mountain, because there's always sort of maybe challenges. You know, we always have the ego, so meditation is still there. So it's still something I'm always learning. So I will definitely
yeah,
at some points continue to teach, you know, the sexual alchemy and practices. I think there is so much to it, and it's very
Yeah,
it's a very deep topic. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, for everyone watching, I'm gonna put a link to that video that Gene made a couple weeks ago. That's brilliant. I extremely recommend you watch it in the description or up here and outro screen. Um, and and also check out Gene's other videos. Lots of amazing content. Thank you so much for joining me for this discussion, Gene. It's been a pleasure and honor. I really like this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And if you
Yeah.
we appreciate likes and comments. Uh, and yeah, thank you for watching. All right,
All right. Thank you.
cheers.